here together as a city. And we're very grateful that we live in this free country. We're grateful for the leaders of our city. We're grateful for Spirit may be with us to help guide us and to help grow this city and lead it in a way that is pleasing to thee. This we pray for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, sir.
C. Elam is absent this evening. Darren Warren. Here. Josie Reed. Keith Higginbotham. Here. Justin Calder. Here. Amy Rochette. And Mayor Bill Evans.
I'm here. All right, so first on the agenda is approval of the city council meeting minutes from May 10th, 22. They've been in the Dropbox for a couple weeks. There's no changes.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Also, would someone like to acknowledge receipt of the Centerton Water and Sewer Commission meeting minutes from April 19th, Planning Commission meeting minutes from May 3rd, May 17th, the Board of Zoning Adjustment from May 17th, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board from March 7th. Have we got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, next is our financial report. Get that out here. And we are 41.6% through the quarter. Revenue-wise, we're at 58.18%. And our expenditures are at 41.15%. So we're right on track on expenditures. And a couple of highlights on our revenue. A good month of building permits at $153,644. City sales tax, $246,239. County sales tax was $452,574. Also, we got property tax. So we did. That usually comes in May, and that was $743,875. And then looking through the departments, everybody's at or below budget. On the street fund, we have 43.27% of the revenue. Expenses were at 16%. And then he wanted to come up and make an announcement.
Good evening. If y'all have read my report, made a note in there that I announced my retirement to the commission. September 2nd will be my last day, and I wanted to introduce to you guys Malcolm Atwood. Malcolm is our current superintendent. He's been with us going on a year now. He's also a professional engineer with several years' experience in water lines, sewer lines, subdivision development, and retail commercial development as well. So he'd be a good asset to the community, but I wanted to tell you it's been a pleasure working with y'all over these past 10 years. But I think I'm going to hang my hat up, do some fishing every day for a while.
Every day is Saturday, right? Every day is Saturday.
That's right. I don't know though. Every day Saturdays recently have been working on Saturdays, so hopefully spread that out over 7 days instead of one. But it's been a privilege working with the city of Centerton and Centerton utilities in a whole. And thank you all.
Appreciate you, Frank.
Yes, thank you for everything you've done for the city.
Also want to bring up Edgar Barrow. Rosa, there you go. I had it all ready. Come on up for a minute. Edgar's our new public works director. I just want him to introduce himself to you.
Good evening. How are you guys doing today?
Very good.
Well, today's my second day out here. So hey, welcome me.
Welcome to Shark Tank.
Thank you. So I've actually been very pleased. I've been here numerous times visiting with the guys over at Public Works. Everybody that I've met has been amazing. I think it's going to be a very smooth transition for me. I've been with the city of Fort Smith for over 10 years, working in public works as well, water, sewer, force mains, retaining ponds. Been with the engineering department for them as well. Been with the environmental quality department for them as well. Just about every department I'm bringing to the table a very diverse mentality, very open-minded to suggestions. The staff that I currently have is very knowledgeable, so they've been great. From what I've seen, without a director, so I just come to contribute to them just as well as Bill and everyone on the council and the citizens. So anytime you feel the need to reach out, please do so. Don't have any questions? Go ahead and ask.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening, guys.
All right. And then the department reports are in there. Does anybody have any questions on any of the department reports? All right. So next on the agenda will be ordinances, but before we start, someone like to make a motion to read ordinance 2022-43, 44, 45, 47, 48, 49, and 50. Resolution 2022-09, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 by title only.
Second.
And a second. Roll call, sir.
Darren Warren,
Yes.
Josie Reed.
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham.
Yes, sir.
Justin Calgar. Yes. Amy Rochette.
Yes.
All right. And then also on the ordinances, would someone like to make a motion to suspend the rule required to read these on ordinances 2022-43, 44, 45, 47, 48, 49, and 50 on 3 separate occasions? Got a motion?
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Darren Warren,
Yes.
Josie Reed.
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham.
Yes, sir.
Justin Calgar. Yes. And Amy Rochette.
Yes.
All right. So our first ordinance is ordinance 2022-43. This is amending our budget basically to claim police and fire salaries as lost revenue for the American Rescue Plan. We did bring this up last month, and we only put police salaries in there, and one of the council members want us to check, and actually we did reach back out, and it was police and fire salaries. So it's in there now. This has been reviewed by Brian and also Disbelief. They're actually the ones that wrote it, and most cities are doing this. So does anybody have any questions on this?
Ordinance number 2022-43, an ordinance amending the city and rescue grant budgets for the purpose of claiming police and fire salaries and employer payroll contributions.
Someone like to make a motion to adopt order 2022-43. And a second. Roll call, sir.
Darren Warren,
Yes.
Josie Reed.
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham.
Yes, sir.
Justin Calgar. Yes. Amy Rochette.
Yes.
All right. Next is ordinance 2022-44. This is
You know, there's a section where we have an emergency clause.
there is? Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Brian, sorry.
Section 4, the city council of the city of Centerton, Arkansas has determined that an emergency is hereby found to exist, and this ordinance being necessary for the preservation of public peace, health, and safety shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication.
Someone like to make a motion to adopt the emergency clause.
So moved.
Got a motion? Second. And a second. Roll call, sir.
Darren Warren,
Yes.
Josie Reed.
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham.
Yes, sir.
Justin Calgar. Yes. And Amy Rochette.
Yes.
Next is ordinance
Hey,
2020.
Bill, what is, just going back to that just a little bit more, what does that allow us to do, spend, hey, like,
Yeah, we can spend it for basically anything we want. Goes to the general fund and it's unrestricted. Plus also, but, you know, and that's a good question. Also, if we, you know, I know at some point we wanted to provide some funding to nonprofits and things. We don't have to go through the contract process, because like when we provided funding to the water and sewer, we had to actually write a resolution for it and everything else. Federal government on your back pocket. Okay, good. All right. Ordinance is 2022-44 is the next one. This This is rezoning the Clam property. This is located off of south of Highway 102, north of L.C. Hickman Road. And it's across from Kitty Road over here. But anyway, there was a public hearing at the Planning Commission meeting on May 17th. And there was no public comments, and Planning Commission recommended approval to this. And what they're doing, this is agriculture. They're taking this piece on the left here, making it residential estates, 3.47 acres. The little piece on the right will be R1, low density residential. That's basically 1.5 acres. 5 acres. So any questions on this? Okay, hearing none. Brian?
City of Centerton ordinance number 2022-44, an ordinance to rezone certain lands within the Centerton city limits belonging to Matt and Terry Clam from agricultural A1 to low density residential R1 and residential estates part 3.
Someone like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-44? Got a motion? Do we have a second? Second. Roll call, sir.
Darren Moore,
Yes.
Josie Reed,
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham,
Yes, sir.
Justin Calgar. Yes. And Amy Rochette.
Yes.
Next is ordinance 2022-45. And as you remember, when we had our meeting, we did allocate $450,000 to finish up the football field at our Kenyon Sports Park, plus also allocate some funding for the temporary ball fields over on Keller Road. And this is to provide lighting to those football fields. The reason why we want to waive the bidding, because this is compatible with what we already have. We already have the Musco lighting out there. We have the controllers, everything's already pre-wired for this. I have Josh here with Parks if we have any questions on this. Josh, did you want to say anything on it, or?
As we said,
Okay.
Our battle for it right there, so it'll save us a long run.
This is turnkey, $178,500.
Is that a normal price range? Yes.
Yeah, that's what we paid for the first set too. So, yeah, we actually did it with a couple phases, right? Because there's 4 fields out there.
Is this, you said some of the football section?
Yes.
Do we currently have any football in the area?
Football/soccer field.
We have soccer goals and stuff out there to accommodate that right now, though?
I will, they're all I gotta do is build them.
And we had a
Got
soccer,
them already purchased and ready.
we had a soccer,
Associates with West High School that they're using that field.
and me and Josh met with some folks that want to actually bring soccer to the community. Looked at this, and they looked at their temporary fields over on Keller Road.
Do they help support at all? I mean, I know Little League has to pay to use the fields. How does that work with the fields over there with the soccer, football?
But that's something we were gonna talk about with them, because I also had Happy Feet come up to me and ask about setting up a league there. I don't have it ready, I haven't got to that distance yet.
I mean, just so it's a level playing field, right? Because I know Little League would pay. Now, I mean, it's not enough to cover bills, but at least it'd be fair to
Yeah.
get across the board.
I can't say I'm gonna charge you X amount of dollars when I don't have it ready for them.
How many bids did we get? Or did we just go straight to them and just have them quote it?
Correct, because I already have all the controllers there, everything ready to go and everything. If not, I have to get a whole new computer system, and I have to do 2 different plans to use each system. And they do have a 25-year warranty on the lights themselves. The drivers, since they're LEDs. That's what we have already running all 4 baseball fields as they are, with Musco lighting.
Any more questions for Josh?
Yeah, that in the budget.
We're going to move some of the money from the rescue fund over.
I all that out already, pretty much.
We appropriated $450,000 for this. It's not in until we'll amend the budget next month.
Yeah, and this is coming out of that 450.
Yes, correct. Anything else?
Ordinance number 2022-45, an ordinance waiving bidding requirements for the purchase of lights for the Kenyon Sports Complex.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-45.
So moved.
A motion, do we have a second? Roll call, sir.
Darren Warren,
Yes.
Josie Reed,
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham,
Yes, sir.
Justin Cowger, and Amy Rochette.
Yes.
Next is ordinance 2022-47. This is accepting the dedication of a 10-foot drainage easement by Byron Pierce. This property is located, somewhat of a map, but this is located on the west side of Daisy Road, south of Kimmel and north of Brookside. It's a 10-foot drainage easement. Dedicate her.
Is this just extending or widening out the little creek that's already there, or is this a different?
I'm not sure what the purpose of it was. It might actually have something to do with the subdivision to the north too. They just brought it to me, first part of the week, so I've been recording. More questions on this?
Want me to tell you?
Yeah, go ahead. That'd be great. I didn't know you knew about it.
Yeah, this is on the very north side of Byron's property, the northwest section of Daisy and Kimmel. He's the next one down. It's the north line there. In order to get the drainage, the normal swale of all the water goes through his property. So the development they want to put on the southeast corner of Daisy and Kimmel will have to drain through Byron's property. So he's donating that so we can maintain that for him, that runoff. So we actually haven't plans yet for that development. So
Thanks, Alan. I didn't know you. Okay.
As long as it's not gonna cause a problem south of it.
no, I'm going to be meeting the next week.
Okay, no one can.
Lorraine, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
You
Can
got
you hear
something?
me?
Yeah, you got something for us?
Alan knows what's going on with it. It's just a drainage easement that they'll need when they do Featherston West, so that they're going to do a pipe through part of Byron's property, and it just goes to the middle of the property and then that course, so it doesn't take it. It takes it off the roadway.
Grass didn't go to the mic, so I don't think she heard me. So
All right. Thank you, Lorraine. All right. Any more questions? Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you, Alan.
City of Centerton ordinance number 2022-47, an ordinance accepting dedications of 10-foot drainage easement by Byron Price, located in section 4, township 19 north, range 31 west, city of Centerton, Benton County, Arkansas.
Someone make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-47.
So moved.
We got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Darren Warren,
Yes.
Josie Reed, Keith Higginbotham,
Yes, sir.
Justin Cowger, Amy Rochette.
Yes.
All right. Next is ordinance 2022-48. This is accepting public right-of-way and easements from Centerton Retail. Centerton Retail is located here on Highway 102 East. It's basically across from Wiggins. It's next to it's just to the east of the apartment complex. This is the 11-unit retail center that's being built. So it is dedicated right-of-way and easements. Any questions on this?
City of Centerton ordinance number 2022-48, an ordinance accepting dedication of utility and drainage easements by A&K NWA LLC per tract split plat title easement plat.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-48.
So moved.
We got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, sir.
Darren Warren,
Yes.
Josie Reed,
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham,
Yes, sir.
Justin Cowger, Amy Rochette.
Yes.
Next is final plat of the Valley Oak subdivision. We approved this, I believe it was back in, we approved it on January 11th. However, when we got the plat, it was just the Carroll Electric statement that has to be put on there. So this is just, accepting the plat with the Carroll Electric required statement. Anybody got any questions on this?
City of Centerton ordinance number 2022-49, an ordinance accepting the final subdivision plan of the Valley Oak subdivision, creating residential lots 1 through 19 and detention lot A, City of Centerton, section 32, township 20 north, range 31 west, Benton County, Arkansas.
Someone like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-40.
So moved.
Have a motion, we have a second?
Second?
Roll call.
Darren Moore,
Yes.
Josie Reed,
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham,
Yes, sir.
Justin Cowker, and Amy Rochette.
Yes.
All right. Next is ordinance 2022-50. This is annexation of property belonging to NWA Friends First Venture, Kenyon LLC, and INFAS Corporation. Let me go over this one just a little bit with you and also show you where this is at. Okay, so this property, this has been, property is located off of Kenyon Road and Highway 279. As you can see by the map, you got this parcel, then the one to the north, to the east, and one to the north. Okay, this has been done by petition. But one thing I want to explain, because you'll see I have several different zonings listed up here in this title. This also came to the Planning Commission for rezone and has already been approved. So this first piece over here on the left in the lighter brown was rezoned from agriculture to R3 multifamily, 37.96 acres. Then if you go here to the east, the other two parcels, which is basically 80 acres, they were rezoned from A1 to RTH MF12, and the council already approved those. And then as we come down, at another meeting, the Planning Commission left this little piece off, and the council approved rezoning this from A1 to C3. And so that's why when it come in, we have all the different zonings. And I think that's all there was to it. And this was approved by the county last week. They sent it to me, so I went ahead and brought it forward. Hopefully I explained that with all the zoning.
South of the junior high,
This is off of Kenyon.
up 279.
79 north.
North.
North. This is south of the animal shelter.
This is by the livestock auction.
Yeah, where the livestock auction used to be? Is it the gun range?
Actually, it is taken in the area that was made into gun range, long range gun range. This is
Okay.
Makes that into.
on the far east. That's where that is.
And then also, Diane did also give us a legal description of all the zoning for each parcel. She added that too. All right, any questions?
City of Centerton ordinance number 2022-50. An ordinance accepting the annexation of certain territory belonging to NWA Friends First Venture LLC, Kenyon LLC, and Enterprise Corporation Incorporated to the City of Centerton, approving the schedule of services to be extended to said area, assigning such area to Ward 3, and zoning as medium high density multifamily R3MF residential townhome multifamily RTH MF12 and neighborhood commercial C3.
Someone make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-50. Got a motion? Second. All right, roll call.
Darren Moore,
Yes.
Josie Reed,
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham,
Yes, sir.
Justin Cowker, and Amy Rochette.
Yes.
All right, that's it for ordinances. Next is resolution 2022-09. This is adding designated individuals to our bank accounts. And here's a list of the bank accounts which I attached and who the signers are. Basically, we're adding Carl, our financial director, everybody else. So everybody else is still the same. So we're just adding Carl as an authorized signer. Any questions?
Resolution number 2022-09, a resolution to designate individuals authorized to perform various actions on behalf of the city of Centerton with regard to the city's bank accounts of First National Bank of NWA, Centerton branch, and for other purposes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-09.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Darren Warren,
Yes.
Josie Reed,
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham,
Yes, sir.
Justin Cowger, and Amy Rochette.
All right. Next is resolution 2022-14. This is a resolution setting a public hearing to discuss the vacation of a utility easement located on 69 of the Oak Tree subdivision. And, we wanted to schedule this for the 12th of July. This will come up at a future planning meeting before this. So we're just scheduling the public hearing, is all we're doing. Questions? Councilor?
City of Centerton Resolution number 2022-14, a resolution setting a public hearing to discuss the vacation of utility easements located on lot 169 of Oak Tree subdivision, City of Centerton, Benton County, Arkansas.
Someone make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-14. Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, roll call.
Darren Warren,
Yes.
Josie Reed,
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham,
Yes, sir.
Justin Cowger, Amy Rochette.
All right. So this resolution 2022-15, this is expressing a willingness for the city to apply for a federal aid transportation alternatives program grant or TAP funds. I have been talking to Northwest Regional Planning, and they applied for 2 other grants on top of this. This grant is applied for funding to help continue the McKissick Trail. When I did talk to Regional Planning, they encouraged me to apply for this and the other one, hoping that we get one or the other. This deadline on this one was June the 1st, and I have been in contact with the folks who give us the grant. They said it'd be fine to, forward a resolution if the council so chooses to do that. So, this has already been applied for. The other 2 I'm going to apply for after this meeting. I've got them written out. I just got to send them in. But they do know that we are hopefully passing this resolution tonight for the voting side. This is a 80-20 grant. I did apply for $625,000. That's what it'll take to do it. From what we went through, the city's portion would be $125,000, and the grant would be $500,000.
The deadline was June 1st.
For this one, yes. But they told me to go ahead and apply for it. And like I said, send this, after it's approved.
So the city pays what, 100 you said?
$125,000. Now, what we're hoping to do is we can combine these grants too. So say they give us this one, they give us the other one, or they reduce them, we can combine them, and use, the other grant as a match. Plus also we've been in touch with Walmart Family Foundation, which helped us with the first phase. So we have some grant opportunities. We just wanted to, throw this out there and see, what we can get. Because like I said, they only have so much funding to go around. So,
This would be strictly used for the trails,
yes.
right?
Yeah, this one would be.
Right.
For the McKissick phase 2, yes.
We're in phase 2.
Well, do you want to give an update on phase 1? We're not at phase 2 yet, but you have any updates on phase 1 of this thing? They're about done, right? They're about like 90% done.
Yes, the only thing we have left is moving what looks like 1 utility and laying 2 more water pipes in. Phase 1 should be complete. 2 goes up all the way to Allen Road. Where they're kind of in a holding pattern right now because they're waiting on CenturyLink to move on. 1 utility needs to go in 2 boxes basically.
So were we within budget on phase 1? Do we know? Yes. Okay. So is it worth saying we should wait until we hear about the fund before we just start a phase and understand what that's going to do to the budget?
Understand the question.
Well, so we're kind of counting our chickens before they hatch on this, right? I mean, don't we want to wait and hear what kind of funds we get from the grants?
Well, that's exactly what we're doing. We're applying for the grant.
Okay,
We're applying for
we
it.
won't start phase 2 until we.
No, absolutely not. We'll probably end up doing a design because they're gonna wanna see that anyway. I think we've already talked about
We've
it.
already filed for the grant win.
I filed for this one on June 1st. That was the deadline. And they know the resolution's coming, if we approve it. But no, we're not gonna do anything until we get some funding for it.
Need to mention the amount in here, I know it says 620,
It's $625,000.
but it's not.
It's not in
Oh, no, I didn't put it in here, it's on the grant itself.
Do we need to have it in there, Brian?
No. This is actually their resolution, so.
But it could be,
Could be less than that, it could be more than that, but
yeah, it could be.
25, but it could be less.
Well, I don't think it'd be more, it'll be less.
Yeah.
I mean,
We can always hope.
yeah, I hope we get both.
We wouldn't turn it down.
When will we hear back?
I don't know, they've got the grants, now the next thing is they have a grant committee look at it, and then, it'll probably be 2 or 3 months before we hear.
I'm gonna say at least.
That's what it's been in the past on other grants.
At least a month.
Yeah. Now, the other two, which I'll talk about in a minute, they'll talk about those at Northwest Regional Planning. They'll, say, hey, all these cities applied. We'll know who applied for all those. For this one, this is Hamilton State. Good questions, though. Any more questions?
Resolution number 2022-15, a resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Centerton to utilize federal aid transportation alternative program funds.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-15.
Well, no.
Have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Darren Warren,
Yes.
Josie Reed,
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham. Yes, sir. Justin Cowger.
Hold on, one more question. I'm just trying to look through this. So where's that bill, just so highlighted on the budget? As far as in phase 2, if we don't get grants?
Well, we talked about this a meeting or two ago. The city did commit to partner with the Walmart Family Foundation if we didn't get any grants. Talked about that about 2 or 3 meetings ago.
Did we get $1 earmarked on that though?
About $625,000 for the project. So our half will be about $300,000. Hopefully we don't have to do that. Hopefully we'll get one or the other. We've been successful in getting grants in the past. But of course, we would certainly talk about that before we did anything. So.
Yeah, because this is just to actually apply for it.
This is just applying for it. Yes.
Apply for it, yes, Brad.
Amy Rochette, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Next is resolution 2022-16. This actually we heard this same resolution last month with a different number. The applicant was not ready to move this forward to the planning commission. So this is just again setting another public hearing for lot 7 of the Quail Ridge subdivision for the same July 12th meeting. And this will be heard at a future planning meeting. The applicant wasn't ready to go, so they're requesting that they come back to the July meeting. So, any questions on this?
City of Centerton ordinance number 2022-39, an ordinance to rezone certain lands within the Centerton city limits belonging to Kimmel Road Ventures LLC from agriculture A1 to medium-high density single-family residential R3SF.
Wait a minute.
Resolution 2022-16.
Oh my goodness, we got it back this year. All right, I'll try this again. City of Centerton resolution number 2022-16, a resolution setting a public hearing to discuss the vacation of utility easements located on lot 7 of Quail Ridge subdivision, City of Centerton, Benton County, Arkansas.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-16. Got a motion?
Second.
Second, roll call. 2022-17. This is also applying for TAP funds or Transportation Alternatives Program. This is a different grant. Deadline on this one is tomorrow. And I am also ready to apply for $625,000 for this one to see if funding on this. And this is just like the other one. This is federal funds.
It's still 80/20.
Yeah, it's still an 80/20 for the same $625,000. And on this one, this will actually be, vetted through the Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning. They'll have a committee come out and look at the sites and things, and then yeah, this one's for the trail.
What's the timeline on when we should hear back on that?
I hope within 2 or 3 months on this one too. I'll know who all applied and everything. I can share that information as we get it. Questions on this?
Resolution number 2022-17, a resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Centerton to utilize federal aid transportation alternatives program funds.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-17. Motion? Second. Roll call.
Darren Warren.
Yes.
Josie Reed.
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham. Yes, sir. Justin Calgar. Yes. And Amy Rochette.
Yes.
All right. This next resolution, or the last resolution, is 2022-18. This is STPGA. Anyway, this is a grant to put a side path out of here on Highway 102. And the council's already committed to, contributed $750,000 to put a side path, when they widen the highway. This is a next year grant. We have to obligate this, next year. But anyway, this is 10-foot, for the 10-foot side passes. It is for the $750,000. Regional planning, actually said to apply for this too, because this does qualify for that. And if we were able to get it, it'd be another 80/20. So we would have to pay $150,600.
How long did we say it was? What was the length that we said? It's gonna go from Main Street?
Yeah, Main Street to 279 South.
Okay, gotcha.
Isn't some of that state?
Yeah, but we have to do the $750,000 since this is something we want.
Something what?
That the city wants.
Why it?
Yeah, they'll put 5 foot in, and there'll be 5 foot on the other side on that.
750, you said?
Yeah, 750,000.
We get this will help a lot with what we have to pay.
It won't be as much.
I'm just following along. That expense, if we don't get the grant, is in, what part is that you're marked in the budget? Just so
We'll have to put it in. We'll have to take it out of our street bond.
We talked about it earlier this year, right?
Yeah, we actually passed a resolution. Yes. Good question. Mark?
All right, resolution number 2022-18, a resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Centerton to utilize federal aid transportation alternative program funds administered by the Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning Commission.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-18. Got a motion? And a second. Roll call.
Darren Warren.
Yes.
Josie Reed.
Yes.
Keith Higginbotham.
Sure.
Justin Calgar. And Amy Rochette.
Yes.
All right. So the next order of business, and I have, and you can also have Josh here if you have any questions. We used to have crew leaders on our streets crew and also on our parks crew. For some reason, they were not put in this year's budget. Both of them have reached out to me and asked that if we could go ahead and promote a crew leader from each parks and streets at an increase of $1 per hour. And that's what we've done. And they feel like it'll help them in their duties and things that we used to have. Questions, discussion?
I know I might get a little bit ahead of ourselves here, but we did a salary study to create job descriptions with pay grades, and And if that was already approved, then this would just be day-to-day operations of we've got this position and it has a pay scale of this amount. You would just promote that person right in that position and wouldn't even have to come to council. Right?
Correct, yeah, we're just looking to create the position, yes.
Well, not create, we're continuing a position that we've had in the past and we just lapsed. If I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, we've had them in the past, yes.
So we're reallocating. What does that do to the salaries budget? Oh, Carl.
Is that,
I mean, increasing $1 an hour, like what does that do to the salaries budget for the year on our budget?
looking at July, it's $2,000.
Oh, that's right, 1,040 each, yeah.
$1,100.
Anything or not? You think we got it?
I make a motion to go ahead with, what's being asked to fill a position, 2 positions that have, for one reason or another, kind of gone by the wayside. I don't know why.
What are the supervisors?
I was just gonna say, maybe because of promotion.
Would that mean that we need to backfill then eventually?
No, we're not adding positions, we're just gonna promote.
We're just
Yeah.
promoting, but
We're not adding anyone.
So the role's not changing, you're just promoting, like title change?
Yes,
They'll still be doing the same job, right?
they'll do a little bit more to me.
I mean,
And staff. That's true.
We didn't want to add another head count.
Dude, that doesn't change the workload though, right? I mean,
You made a motion, Keith, is that right? Yes. I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, next is only acknowledged receipt of the water and sewer audit. It's in your Dropbox there. And, Frank is left, so I'm not, he could have gave the results, but anyway, we just acknowledge the receipt of it. Motion, we have a second? Favor? Any opposed? All right. This next one is a request to surplus a sidearm from the street department. It's not a gun. Somebody asked me that online. It's not a gun. This is an old rusty sidearm that they we get those questions. Yeah, this is an old rusty sidearm sitting out there, and they've taken all the usable parts off it, and they just want to take it to the scrapyard.
can you explain what a sidearm is?
Yes.
It's an attachment on a tractor where we can trim trees and brush on the side of the road.
it's a brush hog.
Yeah.
It's up on a farm.
Yeah, and you see them out there. We have another.
It's just like hiking, I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
so I know we asked this last time. When we sell stuff, it goes back to the general fund, right?
This will, yes.
I think we've learned that we have we learned we need to focus on budget. Should it go back to street department to have a bank account? Because I mean, they're running their budget. They're supposed to. So like, if they're salvaging or not salvaging, but surplusing, should it go back to them or general fund? Because if they're getting rid of something, it's kind of taking it away at that point.
In theory, Justin, it should go back to whoever paid for it.
We can probably put this back in the street fund, right?
Yeah, because we have this money going to the street fund that we end up spending on something completely unrelated. And so, like, shouldn't it go back to their department?
If they paid for it umpteen years ago, then the revenue should go back to them.
We have like a specific street department when we bought this. How old is that?
Oh, yeah. But I don't think it's gonna be a whole lot going for scrap.
we bought, so this tractor was bought from P&K, which was whatever it was at that time, county. It was a used county sidearm. We wound up getting another arm that county pulled off of another tractor because this one had been broke, welded, and falling apart. We got $2,500 for another sidearm attachment. This is what we took off. We robbed everything off of it that is useful. We have another breakdown with this machine, and we can use that part. This thing has been broke. The boom is broke. It's just wore out.
Well, what fetch? How much money? I mean, is it worth anything?
Scrap
You
price.
might get $150 out of the scrap, maybe.
That much?
The water bill a year ago.
Gas.
That's taking gas. I mean, I'm just saying, like, yeah.
It's been sitting on the yard for months. We just want to get it out of the way.
That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
It came on the tractor.
Carl, when they do so, they can put this back in we can put this back in the street fund, right?
Yes,
Okay, we can put that revenue back in the street fund.
that's, Jerry says it has to go back where.
I think that's the right thing to do. I just want to make sure. Because I know at the end of the year when we did budgets last year for this year, that was some of the things like, where's that coming from? We moved would that or should.
So, no questions? I'd like to make motion to surplus this sidearm.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Scrapyard will count.
Anyone opposed? All right. Next is reappointing our planning commissioners. We did have one opening on the planning commission. Amber has decided she did not want to continue on with the planning commission, so we did put applications out for it. I did receive 2 applicants. Myself, Laureen, and Seyfarth interviewed, and we picked Brandon Swoboda to the position. And then also Craig Langford and Ben Lewis would like to remain on the commission. And we'd like to reappoint them with their term expiring on June 30th, 2025.
Who appoints, like, who is in charge of that? You and
Yeah, myself and Lorraine, the planning director, the planning commission, the planning chairman, and myself. And we interviewed both and we picked Brandon. Any more questions? Make a motion to appoint these 3 folks. Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Favor? Anyone opposed? All right, next, I'm gonna call Carl up and he's gonna go over the salary study. And, anyway, I'll let Carl take it.
Evening, everybody. Good weekend, and I'll have my feedback. One of the things I've been doing is doing this salary study. And so what I did was I took the salary study that was done by, and I can't remember the name of the company, took their minimum and their median salary for the salary study and compared it to our actual salaries. And if you look at this page with all of the lines on it, you'll see the position in the left-hand column, and 2 columns over is the minimum for the study. And then the position's current salary, and the increase required to reach the minimum. And then in the middle columns are the median salary for this salary survey, current salary, the amount required to meet the median, and in the last column is kind of a hybrid scenario of what we've been looking at. So under scenario 1, where we raise anybody who's below the minimum up to the minimum, the net cost in the first year would be $140,500. That's on this second page. You can also see all the way down at the bottom, it says payroll's percentage of income. Standard industry practice is that payroll should not exceed 70% of revenue. That's just kind of an accepted number in the municipal government realm. So in this scenario, we are way under the 70%. If we took everybody to the median salary, we would be well over the 70%. And I extrapolated this out 5 years based on
9%.
Yeah, based on an estimated growth rate of 9%. I can tell you the current year, our revenue is 61%, I believe, of our annual budget, which means that we're going to come in somewhere between 125 and 150% of expected revenue for the year. The third scenario is a hybrid scenario where we raise everybody up to the minimum, who's below the minimum, and then we give everybody a $2 an hour raise. What this does is it gets you into the same area, the same ballpark with cities of a comparable size. Look at Siloam Springs, look at Maumelle, and look at Searcy. And we fall, when you bring somebody up to the minimum plus $2 an hour, the greatest percentage of your people fall below or fall just short of the minimum salary in Siloam Springs. And the cost to do that in the first year is $416,967. If you look at that last column over there under scenario 3, walk down the column, you can see that your payrolls percentage of revenue in year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is under 70%. So that is the scenario that gives everybody a benefit, and it doesn't take, even our highest paid employees are not at the median for Siloam Springs. They're a little above the median for Maumelle and Searcy, but they're not the median for Siloam Springs. And I used the change in salary plus a 35% fringe benefit rate. The fringe benefit rate is not going to be that high because some of their fringe benefits are not based on revenue or based on their income of their salary. The ones that are based on their salary are APRS, lap fee, things like that. So if you were asking me, if you want to retain people and attract good people, probably the best scenario to go with would be scenario 3, where we could take them up to minimum and give everybody $2 an hour. It's a good step in the right direction to retain quality individuals.
That was my thought process too, looking at this. Where did you come up with the $2 though? How did you come to that number?
That just kind of a general discussion that we thought the $2 an hour was a fair number to give to everybody across the board and something that we could afford going forward.
So we're coming to the minimum plus $2 an hour?
Minimum plus $2 an hour. So for instance, it's just for argument's sake. So my position takes me, I am $5,000 more than what Maumelle makes, and I am $6,000 less than what Siloam Springs financial director makes. So we fall in that same range.
A couple questions, because this has come up several times. I know we've talked about merit increases each year and that kind of thing. They're all across the board. What have we done? Because one of the questions council asked months ago was getting it one time a year, having an annual review.
Okay, so
What are we at on that?
my goal is, and we have not gotten into this discussion, I've been here 3 weeks.
I get it. This is months.
Well, I have mentioned it to Bill. My goal is to eventually, not this year, but next year, get every employee to a January 1 review date. What happened
document has been written up. My question is, as a goal, you're just giving everybody the same rate. That doesn't give you any incentive to perform up to standards. So can we leave that $2 up to the department heads?
I am fine with that, but I didn't feel, in trying to present you with numbers, I had to come up with something that was consistent.
I appreciate that. I'm just saying that the department heads need to, and I have a problem with an across the board 4% on every evaluation.
That's
Because you don't get it anywhere else that way. It's pay per, and I'm going to go back to my Walmart days. Pay for performance. If you didn't perform, you didn't get. And you didn't ever get a 4% rate.
absolutely.
I don't think anybody in the corporate world is getting a 4%.
I think that's a great question, and I'd be curious to know last year. I know you're 3 weeks in, and there's no telling what happened. How many people didn't get the full percent? I would just be.
The 4%.
I think that goes back to the department heads. They have to take review time very seriously and actually constructing good feedback on the reviews. And I don't know if that.
Right. So again, when I'm trying to present this, I'm trying to present you with worst impact scenario. So
What about people that have been here 15 years though, or 10 years? Like this kind of, if you've worked here a little longer, it kind of could put you in the short end of this.
We have to start somewhere.
Well, I agree.
start somewhere, and that's where your January 1 merit increase can apply.
It's gonna affect the person that has been here 6 months the same as somebody that's been here 20 years.
But what if you did what if you start out with 50 cents and for every so many years they get an extra 50 cents because that's showing their loyalty to the city?
But do you base it just on loyalty? So, let me make the other argument. What about achievement? Where do you balance that?
You've been here 20 years, but maybe you're
not
performing right.
That has to, and if you want
for 20 years.
Yeah, you should have been there still.
So what I would do if I was you guys, I would say that everybody to minimum and everybody is eligible to get up to
$2.
X amount of dollars and let the department heads.
Since we haven't even adopted a salary study, we need to adopt that first, to create these pay grades, to create these pay ranges, minimum and maximum.
Great point, Darren.
You
have a work session on the 28th. We're going to have a presentation. You guys absorb some of these things, decide what we're going to do there. We do have a work session coming up.
we paid all this money for this pay study. We really haven't done anything with it. And I'm trying to look at your numbers here. Why are some people, when you're doing it $2 per hour, some are $41.60, which is your 2,080 hours per year, and some of them are 2,080. That's $1.
Part-timers.
So we're not doing everybody $2 an hour.
No, it's based upon the number of hours you work. Well, yeah, it's $2 an hour times the number of hours you work in a year. So if I work full-time, I work 2,080 hours. Times 2 is 4,160. If I'm a part-time police officer, for argument's sake, and I work 20 hours a week, it's 1,040 times $2.
I like scenario 1 only for the fact that it's 50% of our revenue, whereas scenario 3 I do like also, but it jumps up and takes a lot more of the city's revenue. Although you said that we need to be below 70%, what do you know what the city standard is? Like, is most cities running about 50, 60? Or most
I would say most of them run between 65 and 70.
Really?
Yeah. Salaries are the biggest expense in municipal
it's not that I don't want to give people a pay raise. I want to get the pay study approved and then, get people to at least the minimum. And I know that there's been concerns about, you have the guy that's been here for 5 years and the guy that's been here for 6 months, and you put them both at the minimum, they're both making the same. And then if you give both of them a $2 pay raise, the guy that's been here for 6 years. And I know you said not just how long someone's been here, you got to take into account other things also, but.
And that's a variable that you guys can build into this if you want, up to X amount of dollars.
I think that's a great exercise.
Go through a review exercise.
For the planning session, so we can come and talk about, here's what I would propose, so we have an understanding of what that looks like, up to the $2. I mean,
I know Cody put in a lot of work for us and gave us a presentation. I know his was primarily about, longevity of the city, but then it kind of created, those people that have dedicated time into the city and stayed with the city.
that's what I'm saying.
Longevity is fine, but there's a balance between longevity and performance, period.
But if they're performing and they've been here 15 years, then that's a leadership issue.
Absolutely.
Sorry, that's the leadership
No,
problem.
absolutely. They deserve to be rewarded. If they're 15 years and they're hanging on, then
Minimum standards.
What do you
To
think?
keep doing minimum standards, doing enough to keep on.
minimum negative.
It's also, some of them are hard to fill positions due to their,
All I'm saying is I think we have to start thinking about doing something.
I appreciate that.
Study, we need to do something with the study.
Yeah, I agree. We need.
I think that's a good idea. I think it's something that, for the work session that we've got coming up, if the department heads want to look at for the longevity, if you want to take that $2 and expand it, I would be appreciative of hearing their side of it also. I do want to put it out to them also that you have somebody that's, and again, going back to my Walmart years, well, more than a couple, but if you're not meeting standards, I believe what it is, I would say that it'd be up to the department head of none of the extra above the salary bump.
But
That's my scenario 2, though, right?
Take it. What out of scenario 3,
Okay.
and where you're saying $2, I'm saying that they have the option of 0.
yes, that's absolutely fine.
But they would get the move up to in the salary study, but the extra bump of this is the proposed $2. That would
What I would suggest to you is that
could be a 0.
you can't just tell them to go, tell me how much. If they're going to do that, if they're going to do it between $0 and $2, they've got to do a very formal review.
Yeah.
Right?
That's part of.
Otherwise, you're going to have Joe saying, well, I do the same thing Charlie does. How come I didn't?
I think that means that they're in the business and know what's going on even more, and a lot of them are. But I think that requires them to check into it and understand performance. Because I don't know this for sure, so I'm speaking up for it. I would be willing to bet it if we looked at employee reviews, it's pretty much a peanut butter smear on a lot of the reviews right now. Just same percent across the board.
I would.
Instead of actually being specific.
It happens at Walmart because I'm an ex-Walmart employee. When we had the meets average, above average walks on water thing, they had a curve. 80% had to fall within this, and 20%.
Yeah.
Remember those days? So
Not just Walmart that does that, a lot of places.
yes. So now you're forcing somebody to single out somebody and say, I'm gonna not.
You got the Get 'em Board Club also too, that the supervisor likes this person and they give them a hefty.
So maybe the scenario is that you bring everybody to minimum and they can get a a raise of up to $2 on January 1st, based on their reviews.
This upcoming, I think that's actually a better idea than all of them right there, is saying, okay, you can come to the median, or minimum, and then it's based on January 1st.
That's fine. That's you guys' call. I'm just trying to give you raw data.
I'm kind of liking that scenario too.
I actually really like that idea.
And when I'm presenting this, I can't possibly factor all those variables in.
And I
It
would,
didn't look like it, but nobody's gonna go above the recommended maximum from the pay study.
Oh, no. God, no. We couldn't afford that. That would kill us.
I'm just saying, there's already some people in the city that make some pretty good money, and
They are not, but I will tell you.
$10 an hour, and that would push them
I'll
over.
tell you, if you compare them to cities just like us, they don't make that much money. You got truth.
I also am a firm believer that money doesn't always do happiness either. I mean, little benefits, things like that also mean a lot too.
Yes, and so you want to talk benefits.
So it's kind of,
You got to look at down the line is Municipal League has a life insurance program. It costs $1.50 per $10,000 of salary per month. That's a no-brainer as far as, unless you are operating in the red. It's a no-brainer to
January, I just think.
that will give you retention.
just that,
Away from the $300,000.
It makes me want to stay with it until January 1st, at least, right?
Justin, something about.
I mean, knowing that they've got $2 out here, okay, I'm gonna.
Carl, is that,
at least.
is that city paid or is that partnership?
First,
Benefits.
the first year or two salaries, it depends on the city. You can choose to do what you want to do. But usually, at least the first year's annual salary is city paid. That's my experience. After that, if they elect to have 5 times their base salary, life insurance, city pays for the first year, they pay for the other 4 years. The other 4 times their salary.
This does not include council, planning, all of that. This is just the workers.
No, there's nothing,
Perfect.
there's nothing for council.
So what do we do now? Is there something that we can adopt or vote, or like how do we get going on this?
That's your call.
If I could make a suggestion, I would suggest that you guys review the study that's been presented to you. Darren's point, if you guys want to discuss it at your work session, to Darren's point, if you guys want to adopt that at the next meeting and kind of go from there.
In the meantime, I can meet with every department head and see what they do right now.
Okay. The last thing you said was a good option.
I think we just,
But I do think that understanding financially what that's going to impact, we need to know instead of just
And that's why I laid
area and saying, "Oh, let's do that."
That's why I laid this out with
No,
estimated sales and estimated payrolls. But, whatever I can do to help you guys.
thanks for jumping in, Carl. Hopefully the transition's been smooth.
Everything is good. Life is too short to worry about.
yeah, because I'd look over this because, when we increase some people to the minimum, some people get nothing and some people don't get $1,000 just to put them to the minimum.
2 years of service. After 2 years of service, can you?
It's not based on your service, it's based on job description.
I agree, but if I've been here 6 years and we haven't actually restructured roles and you have a 6-month guy jump in,
You can't set your standard based upon. You have to set
voice.
some sort of minimum and maximum range in between.
sorry, hang on a minute. Did we ever come up with like what Darren had suggested, like a pay band? Yeah.
Yeah, that pay study showed, minimum and maximum, give it a pay grade, okay, this person's a 1, the to,
Did we adopt that in the city though? I don't think
We adopted.
where, here? We haven't adopted that.
But you had suggested it one time.
Yeah, we should adopt
We
that.
should go through that, adopt that first, and then maybe see where everybody falls in.
Yeah, I mean, and Carl has this in a spreadsheet right now that shows the minimum, and if we adopted that and just went to the minimum on how the positions, not the person, but the positions, once we get something like that approved, just like we did tonight, hey, if, you know, the department head, the mayor says, hey, we're gonna promote this person to crew leader, and there's that pay grade 12 or whatever, and it shows, hey, that minimum amount is actually $2 more. That, you know, as long as it's within the budget that we've approved, and that's day-to-day operations.
Because it would have been an easier conversation, because now looking back, that dollar that we bumped them, where were they at in that grade, you know, that grade, like where that would have been good to have.
So if you would do adopt the salary study, the information that's already been out there, I gave it a 10-year breakdown. That is off the salary study. If it's adopted from the minimum to the maximum salary over a course of a 10-year cycle, which is the census cycle. Matt and I just want to come up here and say, you know, I know you all expressed that we want to get something rolling sooner than later on this, you know, so, you know, we would suggest let's adopt the salary study at a minimum and then go to the minimum and then we work on it from there.
You mean like adopt the pay bands?
Yes.
I think that's ideally what we want to do.
And then we work on the steps, if we were, the further increases from here. You know, let's do something to show some progress in the discussions.
I agree.
Because like if you just did the minimum, because right now times are tough, so if we get the guys that's below the minimum, just to the minimum, by the 28th, we'll bring you the rest. Because I got certain positions and certain guys that really don't need anything, and then I got certain guys that need, you know, others, and we can have that broke down for you by the 28th for your work session. We were just wanting to ask for them to at least get the minimum, so that maybe their life's a little bit easier.
In whatever scenario we go from there, $2, years of service, we work on that.
That's what I was saying,
Discussion.
$2, somewhere in that $2 range for January 1st. That's all we want, if you can.
That's what you're actually wanting is to do,
Makes sense, yeah.
adopt something. Are you okay with doing adopting to the minimum of the salary study?
Yeah, I think so, absolutely. That's what we had the study done, to make sure that at least when it comes to the job descriptions that our employees kind of they do, at least getting that minimum, and then we can grow from there. You know, it's a 4% plus the $2 because we've already budgeted 4% into the budget this year for those people to get their merit raises if they qualify for 4%. And we could look at that $2. We'll talk about that at the work study, and plan on that later in the year. You know, let the department heads, you know, say, hey, we approved to increase the budget, and the department heads decide, you know, based on their merit to give them that extra money.
You want to put that in a motion for upping it to the minimum?
Well, I'll make a motion to adopt the
Salary study for the.
salary study. What we got?
I want to speak to for Public Works. Some of the things that you guys are missing when you talk about 4%, like me, I'm just going to talk about myself. That amounts to about $25 a week on my paycheck. So when you were talking that's making a substantial amount, we have guys that are on welfare right now. And I want you guys to understand that you guys are at a very critical stage with the city. It's not just police and fire. You guys are going to lose a bunch of employees because we've got guys working 2 or 3 jobs, delivering pizzas, and literally collecting food stamps. And the answer to your question, I'm going on my 14th year and I've gotten 4% maybe a handful of times. So that statement is not correct. Sometimes I believe it's happened, but I've given lower raises based on merit.
My point to that is like, outside of the city, I've never heard of anything that high. Like Walmart, 2%.
Yeah.
2% for best in class. And Now, let me take a step back. I do think it's about getting the pay right on the front end. I think the merit increases of 4 are really high compared to corporate America. City's got to be paid well.
With
2% double to corporate, like.
With Walmart, and I'll use Rogers because that's where I came from, is Rogers gave two raises a year. You got a cost of a living allowance, and then a raise, and then you got your merit raise. Your COLA came automatically. It was based on cost of living. They did their surrounding areas. Then you got your merit raise based on your performance, like you said. If you've been written up or whatever else, you didn't even consider getting a raise because it was already thrown out. You didn't even get a percentage if you got in trouble at all. But like you said before, it's not just money with some of these guys, but I wanted you guys to understand, because that's not being brought up by Carl, because there's other issues that get brought up with his proposal, because you bring everybody to the minimum. You forget about us older guys that have been around a long time. That closes that gap between supervisors and subordinates.
That's right. Yes.
And that's going to draw an issue later. But when we met with Carl, we talked about longevity bonuses and raises and stuff that need to be considered, meaning taken into consideration. But I just wanted you guys to understand that when you guys continue to put this off, it's not just police and fire, that you guys are at a critical stage in all your departments, not just police and fire. That's including public works. And I think Bill and Carl have seen that and starting to notice the tape, but I haven't heard any of that being said tonight.
What Darren was in the process of making a motion on is the salary study. It doesn't say salary study of police and fire. It says salary study of city of Centerton.
No, I wasn't trying to that wasn't.
But you're saying that it's just fire and.
No. I'm just saying that's always been the highest attention, and I'm coming from police. I'm just saying I wanted you guys to be aware that all departments are at that stage, not.
That's why we're looking at the minimum.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It just hasn't been said, and they came up, and I just wanted to make sure that we are all, all being represented, that, we're all at critical stage for our employees, not just those two guys. That's all. And I was agreeing. I just wanted you to let you guys know what an impact of 4% was on me. And, when you say that's a high raise, that's not even a meal a week nowadays.
Unfortunately, though, I get what you're saying. Unfortunately, 4% is pretty standard, even in other jobs. 5% maybe is like your top. And those are people who, in corporate world, are exceptional.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's pretty standard, 5% at the most.
When you compare Walmart, their base salary is not at poverty level. Most of their base salaries are by far above poverty level.
Depends on where you're talking.
It depends, yes. But on average,
upper echelon, you're right. And there's a problem there, but that's Walmart. But if you look at the grunts, say the store associates, I can tell you because I know I've got a grandson that just started at Walmart. And starting salary is $12 an hour.
And again, I wasn't.
Even $15 an hour, I know, is rough.
That's most of what the city of Centerton makes.
Yeah.
So
my whole point was, my point wasn't trying to argue. I just wanted you guys to understand that there's a critical stage in it. In all the years I've been with here, this is the worst it's been with that stage. Because of the cost of living, COVID, everything else that's happened. These guys are working 2 or 3 jobs. And
I think that's a good point. We also approved quite a bit of substantial funds at the end of last year too. We've definitely helped. I think is what I'm trying to say. But I agree with what you're saying. We got to get it right. And I think that's a good point for maybe the planning session is understanding the median, but also to his point, being in the supervisor role. How do you not have a person who's been there 6 months making the same as a 15-year-old?
Bottom line is when I met with the department heads, what I said was, this is right now.
Yeah.
The longevity and stuff we're going to have to take care of over the next.
But it still goes into the budget, so we need to understand what that looks like. The umbrella of that, right? We can't just blanket it when we know that there's possibly something else. Like, let's get it right the first time.
Well, the best suggestion, this is just my opinion, was, what y'all said is leave it up to department heads for that $2, and base it on merit, because we do have to bring these guys above, to the minimum. And it gives us, including myself and all our guys, something to work for, instead of, that blanket 4% stuff. That's not fair to the ones that do bust their hump, to the ones that are doing the bare minimum. But again, that was just my opinion. Again, I just,
I think that they kind of look at the spreadsheet we have. There's only a few people within streets and parks that's going to be impacted, bringing it to the minimum. That's something we obviously need to think about.
and when I'm speaking, I'm not impacted. I'm above minimum. So I don't see any that, only the 2% being the $2 on merit raise.
I'm sure your people would appreciate you speaking up, so.
And like I said, I just wanted to speak for our guys because we do have some guys that are pretty hard right now. So, but I appreciate you guys listening to me.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Let's do something tonight as far as adopting something.
I say we adopt the
Adopt.
salary study that we had.
Aaron made a motion to adopt the salary study, and then we kind of went off from there. That's what I've got at this point. Like put rolls in bands. What's that? Like put bands on rolls. Like get that going to where.
Yes. Now, what news do we want to add on to that? Bringing everybody that's below that recommended minimum up to the minimum.
Yes, I'd say we do that. Everybody up to the minimum.
Effective July 1st. Gotta get it effective.
Yes.
And what do you want to do with the $2 an hour? You want them to come back at the work session?
We need to go to the work session.
Yeah, I think we need to see dollar impact here, like just to roll that.
I think, like I said, I volunteer. I'll meet with every department head and go through the individuals. And try to determine between $0 and $2 an hour what they think each person should get.
What they would recommend you get. What they would recommend.
What they would recommend. That way I can give you a ballpark number.
So adopt Aaron's motion to adopt the salary study, bringing all employees to the minimum salary effective 7/1.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? In favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you.
So, hold on, let's go. We're gonna say a couple things first. So back to the total dollar impact that you had on their call. Be $104,000.
6 months. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
For 6 months.
Okay. Now, that comes from where in our budget?
Comes out of the general fund.
Okay. So for the rest of the year, we're not amending it. That's still our budget, right? So at some point, that goes back to when we sell stuff. It doesn't need to go to general fund to fund salaries. It needs to be.
It would come out of each department.
Oh, okay. So it's $105,000 investment into
Yeah,
this.
so it'll come out of the departments, but it's the general fund.
And that's from January through December.
$105,000 from July through December.
Right.
July through December. Yep.
We'll amend the budget and
We can include these.
It's 140,000 when you have benefits. That's a rough estimate.
140?
140 from your.
104,000 in salary and a benefit rate.
Yeah.
I think the benefit rate is probably a little bit too high, but I approached it conservatively. So,
Again, this is not your fault. This is things that happened in the past. Don't we need a specific dollar figure? I'm just saying. This is swagging a number. Do we know that $104,088.57? Like, what is it exactly? Because, like, I don't want to keep just amending budgets. I mean, let's.
we amend the
I understand, but let's not just keep expanding it. Let's not be like the federal government and just money we don't have.
exact number. That is a applied benefit rate based upon dollars.
So that's the number though, 104.8857. As of July 1st.
Yes,
Or, I'm sorry, with 140.59. Okay.
40. That's what.
it also is going to depend on hours worked on each person too, so we're never going to have an exact number here. Depends on how many, and if somebody quits and somebody comes on at a lower rate, well, then it's also gonna affect the numbers. You can't ever come up with that's just like budgeting for next year. There's no way you can come up with an exact budget. It'll never be exact.
This is not touching anything January 1st, it's just the minimum, right? That's what we're deciding on? Okay.
And then in our work session, we will discuss the $2 thing, right?
Yes.
And that's, I will have information for all department heads. Where in that range each individual falls.
Yeah. Got it.
We already voted, right?
Is it on me?
No, we've already, it's already done.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I just said all in favor, everybody said aye. All right. Next is public comment. You wanna put something on that, Todd, or you want me to do it?
What to do in here, so 3-minute public comments. Anybody's welcome to come up and talk.
Please go.
I'd first like to say that it's very frustrating to come to public comments and not get any feedback. That's me personally.
I'm sorry, can you say again?
It's frustrating to come up here. I'm speaking loud to everybody in here. It's frustrating to come to public comments and not get any feedback. That's frustrating for me. No direction, no comments, no feedback, no acknowledgement. That's frustrating for me.
On that?
When we say things, we're dismissed. If it's something that is not well received, we're dismissed. That's how I feel. Those are my feelings, Amy.
After you make a comment, you mean?
After my public comment. Or even when I say, please respond in an email. That's frustrating for me. Because you guys want our vote. You want to sit up there, but you don't want to answer any questions or respond. That's how I feel, some of you. I'd like to know when the next AMP meeting is. I'd like to know where the notes are posted on the website for the AMP meetings, the minutes and the agenda. And I'd like to know where the meeting is held. And I'd like to know if there's any available positions on the AMP committee. And if so, will those be posted? Those are my questions. So I can send you an email if you want. You guys can look at it and decide you want to answer it or not, but that's what I want to know.
Hey, Lisa, I do think that Catherine Smith, who owns Wicked Bean, she's on AMP, I believe, so she would be a good contact. That's all I know. I don't know about when is the next one?
Yeah, we do not have a meeting scheduled. Well, I thought the mayor might know, since the mayor is in charge of the city. That's what I thought, but I was wrong.
We have an AMP meeting.
We don't have it scheduled yet. I had to always check for availability.
First council meeting in 22 years, I've been a citizen, not an employee of the city. Kind of different. No, it's very interesting being a citizen and watching this. 22 years, I've been affiliated with the police department, fire department, public works. A lot of knowledge, met a lot of good people. Found out a lot of interesting facts. 22 years is up in the top of my head. It's been a pleasure. Can't say it's been a fun ride. You guys all know the recent extent of what went on. Pretty sure you don't know the full story. My number hasn't changed. My address hasn't changed. You want the facts? Get a hold of me. I'll tell you the facts of what all went down. Truth will set you free. I'm not going to discuss that tonight. I just wanted to thank each and every one of you, past and present mayors and council members, citizens I've met along the way that have made these 22 years pleasurable. I'm not done yet. The work's not done with this city. So, that being said, I'll see you in November.
What else? Do we have any other business? I wanted to give Darren a follow-up. I'm sorry. So, that last meeting, I did talk about maybe looking at maybe making our old city hall library. I did meet with Hadley since our last meeting, and she was going on vacation. She did put me in contact with some state contacts, and she's agreed to meet with me again later, this month. She seems very resourceful and very helpful. She said if we decide to do this, she'll give us a lot of support. They won't be part of it in the library. But she also suggested, and this is probably a good idea, but I want to meet with her some more before I bring this back. She suggested that we have a library advisory board. She said that's what Bentonville has. Seems to work well. And I think if we do the advisory board, she recommended doing 5. That way there we can, get the citizens together, see what the citizens want. Because, I have a vision, each one of us, but, get the citizens together, see how they want to, move this thing forward. If we want to. But I just wanted to report back because I did meet with her, and she went on vacation, but for me to get this funded, so I just want to let you know.
Thank you.
Yes. So I'm going to continue what we talked about last month. And if people want to laugh, that's okay. But let's talk about retail businesses. How are we bringing businesses to Centerton? And I kind of want to know the process, Mayor. And this kind of goes back to the salary study. When I'm looking at this, I'm looking at when I looked at scenario 2, bringing everybody up to the medium and how over revenue that was. It got me thinking about businesses. So we talked about businesses last month, but how do we bring businesses here? Is that something that planning does? Mayor, I know you're working on some things, but what is that process? What does that look like? Who's in charge of it? What happens? And if you could explain that to all of us.
So a lot of times, businesses will reach out. Sometimes they reach out to me, sometimes reach out to planning with their ideas. And then, they're wanting to build something. They'll meet with our planning. We'll set a meeting with all departments. Kind of just an informal meeting. Say, hey, how's this want to look? And we go from there. Like I explained last meeting, we have 17 different businesses in the pipeline. So they're coming. And there's some more stuff. Since we met last, I had a guy reach out to me about what to put a laundromat in. Now a lot. We don't have one of those. So
Is this all chosen by Outfitter Construction? No, do they own the buildings that they close at these places?
Sometimes people build. Like we do have 2 building projects. One will be a store. The other one's going to be a drugstore. So those are coming.
Who chooses who's in there? Who builds the building? Or
The developer does.
well,
City
we used the same developer a couple times, and we've got nail salons. And I mean, what to her point, how we bring some other stuff in here, diversity.
Like let's say, how do we bring
Cheesecake Factory?
Cheesecake. Now, I'm not even talking about restaurants, but retail. Let's use shoe store. Exactly, shoe stores, retail type businesses. With of our city, we've got a ton of rooftops. How do we attract businesses, revenue?
Why could you not make a position with the money that you get off the A&P already, which there's obviously several $100,000 worth of funds?
And that
Put you an individual together that does that. There are people out there that are specialized in bringing businesses into communities and selling your community.
Well, and that's what we talked about last month, possibly with a Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, did you want to say you had your hand up?
There are a few people that will say that the Chamber of Commerce will not happen in the city of Centerton ever again. And the person that's responsible to bring back those stores in is the mayor. Because when I was on council, that's what the council directed him to do, is to reach out to all these businesses and letters, follow up. That's what he is supposed to do.
Well, and
And some things that you guys don't understand being on the council, y'all need to get your certificates. things that are going on in this city that need to be nipped in the butt. Has been going on for some time. And there are people that are in charge that don't seem to do it. So, all of you and those two over there need to figure things out. Calling the municipal league, asking questions, asking them to send you books to educate you on what you can and can't do. And when the municipal leagues comes up to where you can go and learn, that's the best time to go. Because then you'll hear it from the horse's mouth. Not what one person or two or three people want you to know. It's important to know what you can and can't do. And what the mayor can and can't do. And it's just irritated me that, I'm not a social media person. I'll get on Facebook, put a picture about my granddog, my grandbaby. I will get on all those pages that talk a whole bunch of smack, making people look bad, talking crap about everybody. That's not for me. And it shouldn't be for the six of you. Because that's a whole bunch of nonsense. If those people have things to say, they need to say it in a public forum, not behind a computer screen. And you all know, I know at least a few of you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've been there. I've sat up there. I've heard people say stuff. Yeah, it's not all but, smelling roses all the time. There's hard and tough times and decisions that the six of you need to make. I'm not trying to be, Miss Robin that thinks she knows it all, because I don't know. I don't know it all. But there's things that have happened in the since I was on council before then. That's why I was saying about bringing storefronts. When I was on council, Josie was there, Keith was there. And we directed, you guys can agree or not agree, we directed Bill to reach out to these businesses to see if they would be interested in our city. And we are at a point that we need more bigger storefront stuff. So that would be a suggestion that would go back from you guys to the mayor to see where he has done, what he's done to do that.
Well, and that was my point before we got sidetracked. That was the point I was trying to make.
And that's what, when I was on council, that was what his direction was. We asked him, that was his direction to go. Which?
That's your 3 minutes, Robin.
If you'd like to reach out to any of us council members, we'd be happy to listen to any suggestions that you might have.
I would be glad, and I have all the books in the world that you need to know about what your candidacy, what you can and can't do. So, Josie and Keith will tell you that I used to bring back 6 sets, and I'd put them on their desk. And I put them on Brian Rabel's desk too. So I have it if you want it. Thank you.
Yeah, some call.
Well, I agree with Bobby. I think that it's a combination of a point person for the city and some way of forming a chamber of commerce. And work together to reach out and get the kind of storefronts that you want, not just whatever. Well,
It's not government though, it is separate.
it's not government, so they're not subject to the same kind of regulation.
I'm suggesting it would be inappropriate for them to establish a chamber. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, the city can't establish a chamber. It's got to be the business community. But the city can have a point person that
liaison, sure.
Liaison. We're
to do with her. But I think big picture wise, it involves a lot of departments, right? It's how we plan from the planning department, how we develop, how we zone and all that. So it comes from that level as well. So it's not just about calling proms or calling the Dairy Queen to be fair to the ice cream folks.
So the
It's a big picture thing. So I think with you guys having your regular work sessions, those are things that you need to talk about and invite your other department heads so that we as a whole can make sure that the infrastructure is there, that our goal, and we've adopted a comprehensive plan to guide us. If we need to make some changes in there, we can do that. That's what we're supposed to do. So use your comprehensive plan, gather together in regular work sessions and work towards that goal. In the meantime, if we've got people on staff that we can get freed up, you know, if we've got some goals in mind of some businesses, a lot of businesses when you're growing as a community will come to you. And we do have some of that.
Like an update in the council meetings.
Yes.
But you have to have some ability to know what you're doing.
Once they come on their own, that's really not, that's in spite of what we need to do above that.
Understood.
Yes, and as our city grows, I don't know who said it, but there's, from what I've heard, some businesses will not come to Centerton because of things that may have happened in the past. Our city has grown, we have changed, and that is my question, how do we reach out them in?
Trouble is they've got to hear that from the whole community.
Didn't we just drop $2.5 million in our general fund? We can use however we want to for the Build Back Better. Pretty easy to put a salary on that. Start spending something.
So I would like, I don't know, it's on my list for the work session.
Like maybe a follow-up.
Well, I'd like us to have discussion, because this is the second time I'm bringing it up, and I think it's very important. We keep passing these houses and things like that. Let's bring some business in.
The businesses, we've talked about this in the last meeting, giving some, whether you incentivize it or whatever. To Robin's point, we can reach out to certain businesses. A lot of it we don't have a say. I know a lot of people think that Mayor Bill's the one that brings every Mexican restaurant, every ice cream shop, every pizza joint. That's not the case. You know, and some people, I mean, those of you that have come to the meetings know that, but a lot of people think that's it. Well, how come we don't have this and how come we don't have that? How come we have so many of these? A lot of that comes from developers and people that have those businesses that want to be a part of Centerton. And then we have to support them as a community too, because they'll go away. We have some good businesses that are just going to go away if we don't support them. If we bash them on social media, we trash them, and we don't support them, they're just going to go away.
We have to work.
Even if we could get the things that we wanted, if we don't support them and we aren't kind and maybe a little forgiving when they have a bad experience in a drive-through.
That goes the same with all city employees. They need to do the same and continually and consistently
Understood.
support them.
Yeah, not just employees,
But
but
their emotions.
citizens. They're employees, but citizens as well. Yeah.
And correct, to Lisa's point, city employees, departments need to all work together to bring those people in and not have roadblocks. They need to be accommodating. We as a city need to be accommodating.
I mean, have we used a broad or diverse developer base around here? Because I mean, like, are our developers, do we just build, or we take them because they have the best cost, or have we researched some of the visions or the cities that they've built in, like what they've grown? I mean, because how does their way to fill a building align with our vision as a city of Centerton? I guess would be my question. Like, are they just wanting to fill the doors, or do they want to actually?
We don't want to get the developers.
I mean,
The developer has no bearing on the business. On average, we probably have 10 developers in town currently building these subdivision projects.
I mean, retail.
We're separate owners that are potentially not even in this part of the country. A lot of owners are coming out of Texas, like Centerton Retail. That's not even a local owner. Those are the ones that are bringing in these businesses. That's where they're choosing. But these developers like S&K, and PaveCon and all those others, they're not dictating on the actual business themselves.
How about like Outfitters Construction, because they've had their name on a lot of the
Say
buildings.
that again, I'm sorry.
Outfitters Construction, that's local, right? I mean, they did the Lake.
They only developed the Wendy's area. And
Which is a great area for retail, by the way.
there was some other issues, financial theft that happened within internally. And that's just what I'm reading on. But that's not a main building.
We could seek out the developers that would fit our plans for our vision.
I get.
Well, the developers are seeked out by the owner based on cost. I mean, the city doesn't control that actual developer that comes in.
Most of those are shells, and then what to do is the tenant finish out. So if you have a shell building, you'll have, let's say, Payless Shoes, which they're all around, but you'll have Payless Shoes. They will take this corner, and we want you to build it like this and this and this, and then in the middle you'll have, another retailer, and they'll have it finished out however they need it to have finished out. So they generally come as a shell. There's most generally, unless you've got a specific person, like a lot of times like a Starbucks or something like that, will build the corner and then they'll put a shell past it in order to bring in other businesses to complement that.
And it's very rare all those signs that you're seeing are actually the power behind the actual facility itself.
I get that.
They're just advertising for future business.
And some businesses will not come to a town until you reach a certain population. And we're just under the threshold. If the census would have been taken serious by the people that were out there and they would have turned in their surveys and filled them out correctly, we would have been at the 20,000, which I believe we're at. And if we would have got to the 20,000, there would have been probably a lot of businesses that would have been coming in. And we can hire somebody to come in and sit and just write letters or reach out to businesses or whatever. But until that business sees somebody that wants to buy one of their franchises and put them in here, it's not going to happen. And that's what most businesses are anymore, is they're franchise owned. Just for instance, I can't even think of it, the biggest, Chick-fil-A. They would love to come here, but you have to, it's like just say $200,000 you have to put out. You have to go to one of their schools. You have to meet all of their criteria and everything. And if you don't pass, then you lose. So, and I pick on Chick-fil-A because it's one of the most sought after business being put in a city or a town, and it's probably one of the best to work for.
Do you think they would be successful here?
I think they would be great. Anywhere. Well, you got to have someone, number one, that's going to put up the $200,000, and then they're going to have to go to their school to see if they even qualify. So, just check in to see what it takes to become a franchise owner of Chick-fil-A. And that's why they do so good, because the people that get their franchise knows how to run whenever they come in and what's expected of them. And then just like, no, I'm not on Facebook, but I have a lot of people that tell me about Facebook. And one of the things is I'm told is that Centerton has got some of the comments that I've heard, the most foul-mouthed, rude, just going on. But
I can show you a developer right now that says he will not build here, and he just built in Springville because of the issues with the city. So we all got stories.
Oh, I know. I'm here. I know some of them. I know most of them probably.
I understand what you're saying, but there's a flip side. Other cities are successful. Other cities are booming. Why is that? Why are they in COVID? Why
is Centerton the fastest growing city in the state of Arkansas?
They said that years and years ago. back in 2016.
I just heard it again. I just heard it again at the winter conference in Little Rock.
I read
Centerton was
2016 that the state said that Centerton was the top 5 city to grow the fastest. 2016. Nothing's changed since 2016. Why is it?
It's still growing.
In spite of
Fastest growing.
In spite of
We're growing in
rooftops. We're not
It's going to stop. It's going to stop because the interest rate is going up. It's going to stop everywhere.
Interest rates going up everywhere.
And nobody can afford. I mean, Anthony, I understand where you're coming from. You know, talking about people that are working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Try going on to Social Security. If you get heaven forbid that Social Security would get a 4% raise, you'll be lucky if you get a 1%, and then Medicare goes up 3%. So you take a 2% loss. So, you know, there's a lot of problems in this United States. Centerton doesn't have a corner at all. You know, I can't see fixing anything in Centerton until some of the upper stuff is fixed. I don't know why anybody would jump into the waters and open a business right now. And I can say that because I owned one here in Centerton for 4.5 years or whatever. And I would hate to be an owner right now with the fact that, you know, we've got all the false employment figures and everything going on. Unemployment is a lot higher than what it was. Nobody wants to work right now, but everybody wants a handout.
And yet at the same time, the Bidville line is building up. Centerton line, nothing.
So we're also going to look.
We're the same as they are right there as far as.
We're also going to look at Bentonville, and I'm going to say it. You're going to look at Bentonville, and you're going to see a lot of empty buildings.
Sure.
People are going to go to the newer ones because that's where it's going to draw.
That's any city.
And all of the old ones are going to become slums, and it's already happening. You just can't see it. Walmart took out a lot of that when they bought that half of Bentonville.
But we shouldn't give up.
What would be your suggestion?
My suggestion is, number one, and I've talked about it in the past. Number one, when a business comes to Centerton, the planning commission needs to it happens in other cities. They need to start relaxing some of the stuff that is required.
I agree.
Number one, and I know Darren and Josie have heard this, my main soapbox has been the landscape. Can't tell a business you got to plant this tree in this location. I can understand beautifying and putting in some landscaping, but you cannot tell them that it's got to be this.
I agree.
Because a business, that's what's getting out, and that's what's hurting.
Exactly. Among some other things, yes.
I could go into some specifics, but I'm not here for that. But that's
how would we change that? And maybe that's where we work in the work session with the planning department to say, how do we change that word of mouth that's getting out? Because I agree with you, absolutely.
Where do they get the authority to tell them what they have to plan?
So if you look at Centerton, they have very minimum development standards. I would say the planning commission, what they have is very minimal.
they overstep the minimums.
What?
They overstep the minimums.
There was one just recently where they were talking about there was a subdivision that they had to remove a lot because they couldn't build on it or something, and then the planning commission basically asked them to adopt double the amount of trees or something that they were planting. And it wasn't just double, it was like a considerable amount. It was a huge number.
So was it something with the conditional use versus just a rezoning?
It had to do with the landscaping that was approved through the plat. And so then the developer comes up here and they're like, look, this is like 700 trees or something. Is there any way we can come back on this? And of course, they did accommodate to a point, but that's a good example to what you're talking to.
So, if you want to look at, unfortunately, I got to use my full-time job. So, they dictate the species and the placement of trees and shrubs. Large-scale development, new building comes in, they approve what the material looks like. If there's a big long wall, it's got to have some architectural features to it. I don't think Centerton does any of that. So really, Centerton's development standards are minimal compared to other communities in Northwest Arkansas. Something we can talk about at our work session is, do you want to get somebody that does economic development? You hire somebody just for that position. They're a cheerleader for the city. They go to conferences around the country where these people are looking at building a new restaurant, and we pay that person to go there. They'll have a packet and they'll say, we've got land.
Sell them on Centerton.
We've got 20,000 people. We do not have a restaurant like this. This would be a great place for us. You want to spend that money to hire somebody and go do that. That's what we used to have. Well, it was Brian Barr at Bentonville, and then he left and it became Debbie Griffin. She's kind of like the economic developer and something else. She's a cheerleader for the city of Bentonville. I don't know how much she travels to go to conferences to attract people, how much she might be on the phone calling people, say, let me send you a packet on our city.
I love that.
About our city, how great it is.
So back to my original question, which was, do we have a process or anything like that? It sounds like that is a no.
We don't have a formal process now, other than
Okay.
coming through the, pre-development meetings, through planning and all that.
And on our next work session, we have that as a topic to discuss.
We could, yeah, I've been making notes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
That's all I've got.
Anyone else? That's all you have?
That's fine.
Are you sure?
I'm good.
All right. I want to get a couple updates. So is anyone on planning on the call?
Lorraine's there. Let me see if she's still there.
Lorraine, could you kind of give us an update on how the Dude Solutions transition has gone so far?
She's not there.
Of course. Okay. So I would like to know an update on Dude Solutions. I know we paid some money for them to give us a new software, a new program, if possible. A couple months ago, we talked about the trash facility. So we ponied up the money. Bentonville didn't do anything, and they were supposed to be finalizing their budget. I think it's 65 days ago at this point. And so is her name Wendy? Is that
you sent her an email.
I just sent her an email, but I guess this goes back to the feedback loop as a city with other, when we first talked to her up there, that was one of the things is, hey, could you come back next month and let us know what they decide? I think it'd be good to have an update, because if they're not funding it next year, we need to find what's going to happen, because we basically paid it out of pocket.
I know a guy who works there. Don't you do your budget, start your budget in July?
Oh, yeah, they've already started the budget.
Yeah.
So did they trash facility, anything there?
Oh, I don't drink it.
You wouldn't know that, but
I just know
just start in
know
July, what she said.
The mayor and finance just started already talking to department heads, hey, training, travel, new hires, vehicles, what do you want? Start sending it to us. So I know they've already started working on budget numbers.
Third one. Where are we on the PO system?
We have a PO system. We did go down to Little Rock last week and sit with CSA about online PO system, and we are getting ready to institute that. In the next week, we'll be training department heads on how to use it.
Will this be a program?
It's a module in their software.
But it's not like just an Excel sheet, it's like an actual.
No, it's an actual. Yeah.
It's an actual program, but I got electronically approve it on.
What's the expense of that?
$1,230.
Yeah.
That's it?
then we had to pay, Justin, we had to pay $1,000 extra for a license. We had to buy an extra license for me to be able to have access.
$1,230 a year.
So what does that,
I thought it was a one-time
what
charge.
does that include?
Always yearly.
What does that include? I mean, like, walk us, can you kind of give us, I mean, if you don't have it today, maybe, but I'd love to know, like, what does that include? Because that seems really cheap.
What do you mean by what does that include?
Well, I mean, so if I get gas in my truck, or let's just say that the minimums we lift that we voted a couple months ago on, how does that work?
So the PO comes in and it gets generated in the system. We have to generate it.
So I want to go buy lumber.
You bring a PO to Shannon. Okay? It gets put in the system. And you sign off on the PO as the purchaser. And then Shannon will sign it as the PO preparer. And then I sign the PO with the attached backup. And then when the materials come in and the invoice generated, it then encumbers the budget. And then it goes to the mayor for final signature.
That's current, or like, what does the program do?
That's in the next couple of weeks. That's exactly how it works.
So it sounds like that's what we're doing now. It's just going to be logged into a system. Is that correct?
Like, what's the system change?
Is that it'll be electronic. It's not a manual process.
Manual.
It'll be part and parcel of the general ledger system.
So the invoice automatically comes into the system? Like, say if he bought lumber from Lowe's, that invoice comes in?
Well, the PO, they have to bring they have to set the PO up in the beginning.
You gotta take
That's a manual.
set in.
That's a manual process to set the PO up.
You guys take a preliminary, I wanna buy 10 2x4s. Okay, they're $2 a piece, $200, and then you gotta do this, get your order, what you want. And then your tax and delivery and all that could change, so you take your preliminary to Shannon, you do a preliminary PO, when the invoice comes in, they match it up, change your tax, delivery, and then he signs it, done.
Will that also be signed up under a certain department? So the lumber comes in, it's going to Parks and Rec, like it automatically gets.
Yes, it will be charged to a specific fund department line item.
Now, let me ask the ones that are affected by it. Do you see? Does that sound like it works for you guys? Any feedback you'd give? Like, I'd love to hear.
Kind of slow down like everybody claimed it would. It's been running smoothly.
So it wouldn't slow you, okay?
We haven't done the computer side of it, that side, but the only thing it does is there's just more paperwork. But I mean, you're maybe slowed down half a day.
We also haven't dealt with any true emergency either that is going to maybe affect.
Is there a way to streamline, like,
Why are we still using paper?
can we not like e-sign? Like, I'm trying to like drive some
Still gonna get a
efficiency.
receipt.
Yeah, like if I bring it or I send her an email, flip it to her, she can sign on the tablet or whatever, and it flips back to here you go.
Send your receipt.
Like,
Okay, I don't
Same thing.
I think that's the whole thing. Is like, how do we get in the future? Like, it would be nice if Anthony wanted to go buy something. I mean, not a ceiling fan or anything, but like if you want to buy something, he could send it through an email. She could sign it, and it goes out to finance.
Well, we have to have a document.
Well, I know, but bring it in personally. What if he's out on a job that day and he has to go run and get? It would be nice to just, because that's fuel we're using to drive back and get a signature. Printing, it's getting rid of documents that we're spending on printing, ink, gas. Like, I'm just trying to think in terms of that. I mean, it may be a solution. I would hate for Anthony to have to drive halfway across the city. Just a thought, or hit a pothole like that. You know?
I think that's more obtainable electronically, but I get that one.
Yeah, I want it to be like that, so you don't have to do that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it would probably cut your day down a little bit instead of having to drive 40 minutes through dump truck traffic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some trucks are faster than concrete
You gonna
trucks.
do anything else?
And Jason, you're killing Michael's idea for a place to buy paper. To the meeting last
before he even gets it out of the ground. Is there anything? Who does that? Does he? Like, can we get a date? Just get.
Yes. Yes.
All right, so we do have a work session in 2 weeks, right here, 6 p.m. And that's all there is. So somebody make a motion to adjourn?